But I wanted to talk about if the strikes that are going on at McDonald's and some of these other fast food restaurants are going to help create a new American labor movement. Because as of right now, our labor movement has become stagnant, has become incredibly irrelevant. No, almost nobody's in a private sector union anymore. I think it's down to like somewhere around 9% of people are in private sector unions. It's slightly higher for public sector unions. So I'm wondering if this is going to spark a new labor movement.
I mean, it depends, because I know a lot of the McDonald's strikes are happening in New York City, in Manhattan, actually. Like that's where a lot of this like started.
Hmm.
No credit necessary, you know. I know it's my home area, but no credit necessary. But
Sometimes New York leads the nation.
but I what you call I feel it's weird because I feel like they're it's fine that they're striking and they want McDonald's to pay higher wages and all that, and like I like honestly I hope they negotiate and get higher wages. But there's like other jobs that are unnecessarily hard to get into that you could go to instead of McDonald's, and the one that I always give is a taxi cab driver. Like that the government like monopolizes, and then they basically force you into these fast food minimum wage jobs. So I'm glad that they're. I mean, they can strike and that's fine, but I feel like there's a lot of things that put them in a position where they needed to live off of McDonald's that they're ignoring.
Right, and what you speak about is a lack of competition because of, like you said, what is it? Monopoly.
Monopolization.
It's a monopoly, and of course, those monopolies are purchased through campaign contributions, legalized bribes. And
Right,
so
but
they squeeze out the smaller companies from being able to compete. It's absolute cronyism, and there should be something that should be done about that. But I wanted to ask you guys to see if you two would think that there might be a new labor movement in America.
I think there is a new labor movement happening in America right now, and I think we're starting to see the beginnings of it. But I'm very inspired to see all these fast food workers actually stand up for a living wage and fighting for, what is important to them and what they need. And I think it's very inspirational and harkens back to that old age when people were out there on the streets protesting for better working conditions.
I have to disagree. I don't think that this is going to spark any new movement. Um, I think that the trend that's been happening is going to continue, and unions in North America, maybe even more so in the States, are going to start losing more and more power. Now, hear me out here, because I think it will be cyclical also. They will see a rise again, but not right now. I mean, we're talking about these fast food strikes. That's one thing, but the way they're happening, it's not doing anything. Um, if this were to actually accomplish something, if this were to become a movement and really spark something, uh, you would need it to be nationwide. It's great.
It is actually nationwide.
Well, not really. I mean, it's happening in places across the nation, but you've only got you don't have every single McDonald's walking out, every single Burger King. What you would need to really show that this could be a force would be to really work something out as far as a union goes, and you organize all the fast food workers. You in a movement. You organize the McDonald's, Burger King, Kentucky KFC, Sonic. You take all of these people at the same time, and you say, this is the day we're walking out, and you show them what happens when their restaurants are closed.
I actually disagree, because the McDonald's, they're owned by franchise owners. So individual McDonald's actually do hurt, it won't hurt the big corporation, but it actually will hurt the franchise owner, and that might inspire change, because I don't know if you guys know this, but franchise owners are notorious for suing the franchise. So if all these workers are striking because they're following McDonald's policies, in that way it could cause a chain reaction. So it doesn't have to be every single McDonald's, because every single McDonald's isn't operated by the conglomerate of McDonald's. You just have to piss off enough franchise owners.
That's
Also,
a very good
remember,
point. That's
one of
actually
their
true.
demands.
Yeah, fair enough.
Demands is the right to be able to unionize.
See,
All right.
I have a bit of a problem with unions as it is. It's a love-hate kind of thing. I mean, I understand their need. I see there is a need for them. That's the unfortunate part. On a personal level, I hate being used as a pawn. I don't want to be a pawn in your game. I don't want you to use me to get your gains. But on the other hand, there are greedy people out there who, without union protection, the average guy has no hope of anything. So I see them as a necessary evil. So it's unfortunate that way. But and I hope I'm wrong about this not sparking a movement. I hope I'm just being cynical about that. But I just don't see it happening. I see the decline keeping on going for a while until finally it hits a head somewhere in the future and people rise up once again and take back their rights.
And one thing one thing I want to say is that I would like for what you said about the pawn, right? And basically the biggest problem that a lot of people have is that, well, the unions are giving to Democrats. I don't necessarily agree. I don't want my money going to be, used for political, donations to Democrats. If I'm a Republican and I'm in a union, I don't want that to happen, or vice versa. But most likely, most unions don't give to Republicans.
But if you're Republican, why are you in a union? Because union is socialist.
You might have to join.
A union is socialist. That's a socialist thing. So if you're Republican,
not at all. They're not socialist in all circumstances.
If you're forced to join, which a lot of them are, a lot of closed union shops, you get in there, you're part of the union, whether you want to be or not. And a lot of people have a disagreement with that. They don't want to be automatically part of the union just to be able to get the job. But the whole thing that I'm trying to get to is the fact that we actually should get rid of lobbying and get rid of that money in politics, that campaign donations from both unions and corporations. Neither should be giving to candidates. I'm sorry.
Sorry, what was that? All I heard there was wolfpack.com.
Yeah,
no, and
wolfpack.com, get money out of politics.
But I mean, it's not even, to me, it's not even that. It's just that, I mean, the government has no business between a union and its employer. Like, they're all lobbying for a legal advantage. Like, they should just negotiate based on the leverage that they have. The union based on their members, and the corporation based on the fact that they're employing them. So, like, there shouldn't be a role for the government.
I'll agree with your point. I think we should just get the government out of this and let the workers be able to negotiate, to get together, to band together in a union, to be able to negotiate with their employer. I think that is, one of the things that should happen. And I just wanted to kind of end this on, for all of the people who are against unions for whatever reason, and there are certainly very valid reasons to be against unions. You got to remember some of the things that unions have actually worked for and helped us get are this weekend that you're enjoying. You got to remember it was a union thug that did it. Not only that, but you've got lunch breaks and just breaks in general, vacation, overtime, the repeal of child labor, the elimination of child labor. You also had the 40-hour work week, holiday pay, insurance, equal pay acts, and some of the stuff that Republicans and corporatist Democrats would love to end. You saw the recent bills.
Fire escapes as well.
Right, and one of the recent bills was to get rid of overtime pay. That was floated in Congress. So I mean, you've got a lot of Republicans and corporatist Democrats that are very much against some of the gains that unions have fought for. So I think in order to preserve those, we do have to have a stronger labor union to be able to fight against that. And they're not perfect, and they're not, the end-all, be-all, but I think they're a tool that I think many Americans have to stop demonizing and have to start realizing yet that there is a benefit if it's done in the right way.
And there's a difference between public and private sector unions based on the way the incentive structure is for both too. That should be pointed out.
Fair enough.